everyone, to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and today we're going to be talking about the new Base app. Let me actually share my screen here and we can start kicking this off. Let's do this. So, let's see here. So we're going to be diving into the Base app. As those of you out there know, Coinbase announced on July 16th of this year a brand new everything app. So, those of us that have been using the Coinbase wallet, it functioned like a usual wallet. You could connect it to, different decentralized applications, like DeFi and things like that, and interact. Send crypto, receive crypto, things like that. But I think with a little bit of foresight, Coinbase saw that what was keeping crypto from growing was what's called barriers to entry. So the average person does not know how to onboard their fiat, and they're able to figure it out pretty quick, how to onboard their fiat onto platforms like Coinbase, centralized exchanges. However, after that, they have no idea about DeFi. They have no idea about, the advanced trading and, different platforms and, using AI for trading, things like that. So it just goes overlooked. So I think what Coinbase is trying to do is they're trying to remove the need for people to have to educate themselves on how to use hot wallets and, how to use decentralized apps. And they're going to bring all of those apps onto the Coinbase app, or the Base app. And so seamlessly, if, as long as you're able to onboard your fiat onto Coinbase and, send it to your, basically what used to be your wallet. And you may not even have to do that. I've been trying to get and I appreciated Ellie trying to shout me out to get a code to, be one of the beta testers. Hoping to have that for the show, but I wasn't able to get that. But what I wanted to see is if there was once your liquidity was on Coinbase, I was wanting to see if it was just going to be on the app or if you were still going to have to send it from Coinbase to the app. And then once on the app, once that liquidity is on the app, you can do all these things that we're about to talk about. So I'm really hoping that, once it's on your Coinbase account, that it's just accessible inside the Coinbase app. But let's go ahead and start jumping into this. So what it's going to be now, other than just a wallet, and we've seen teasers of this. I've seen some other functionality in the wallet leading up to this, but we're going to have social media, DeFi, gaming. You're going to be able to have payments with Shopify, and be able to pay with Amazon. So you'll be able to use crypto to buy stuff on Amazon. Basically, anywhere Shopify is accepted. And then, of course, you're going to have Coinbase's Visa card, I believe it is, that is going to be coming out as soon as the legislation and all that stuff is in place. So with with this suite of offerings that Coinbase is coming up with, it's going to allow people to use their crypto just like you would fiat. And it's going to open up crypto to the masses. It's not just going to be this niche group of people like us that are sitting around, watching, YouTube videos on, how to make money in crypto. You'll be able to use stuff like Mamo that has an AI to automatically make money for you. You just onboard your fiat, put it into an AI, DeFi application like Mamo, which is going to be on the Base app, and it invests for you. I think that it's even going to get to a point to where you can talk to, like Mamo, you already can, but I think it's going to get to a point to where you can talk to an AI in your Base app and tell it, hey, I want to, take on a little more risk. I want to make higher APRs in my DeFi. Can you find me some to where, I can, earn 30-40% instead of just 10-20%? And it will go out and find those things for you. And then, once it finds those, you can say, you know what, I like those. Go ahead and invest in those for me. Use 20% of my portfolio. And it's going to be, like a DeFi, a DeFi assistant that is going to do all this stuff for you. And I don't think this is that far away. So again, let's go ahead and dive into this. Let me shout out everybody in the chat real quick. I appreciate all of you showing up. Jay, Black Ice, Ellie, Falco, Victor Guerrero, Kyle Watts, all of you. I appreciate it. And the looks like we got about 150 people across all the different platforms, starting to trickle in. I apologize to Drew. He shifted his show time. And so it looks like I'm overlapping with him. So I'm going to be shifting my time to the right about an hour. It looks like he's going to be in that time slot, and I don't want to step on my brother. So let's see what the chat has to say before I start kicking things off. Yeah, I can't wait for the base app to come out, fully either, Ellie. I really want to take it for a test run. Yep, Victor, always doing well. I don't care what the markets are doing. In DeFi, if the markets are going up, down, sideways, we don't care. I think Mamo is going to skyrocket when the base app fully launches. Very possible. Very, very possible. And I mean, shit, Mamo is at like 3,300 something by market cap. I see a lot of upside for Mamo. For being a part of the base app, and being built on virtuals, having the AI aspect, the ease that it offers people to that are just getting started in DeFi. I think it's going to be just that toe dip in the water that's going to get them to where they're going to catch the DeFi bug. They're going to see like, oh, I can put my Mamo on here, make 20%. I can put my USDC and make 8%. I can put my Bitcoin and make 1%. And I saw, that they were teasing at adding Solana and, potentially adding XRP and other assets to the Mamo app. So I think the Mamo app's just going to grow. And as, assets get onboarded to it, it's just going to grow in popularity. Because, I mean, what a great way to invest is it just automatically does it all for you. Let's see. Looks like Ellie might send some picture away, Jay. All right. Is the Black Hole Dex live now? I believe so. I voted. This is my second week of voting on my my black hole supermassive lock. Those of you that haven't, make sure, if you haven't, hurry up. I think it might be the epoch might be ending soon. But Aerodrome and Black Hole, both the epochs end today. So I hope you voted. If not, don't worry. It will automatically vote for what you voted for last week, but you might not get as much as far as rewards. So yeah, make sure you set that on your calendar, set a reminder that Tuesday evenings, here in the US, or Wednesday morning that you vote. There was one, I hope that it locked in, but it was 300 and something percent on Black Hole. So if it ends up locking in at the end of the epoch, I'll make about 60, 70 bucks on my Black Hole lock. Oh, Crypto Farmer, new name. Yeah. I'm always increasing my Mamo bag. So yeah, this is mine right here. I got 18,835. So I've earned almost 100 Mamo in about a week. It's I've been about a week that I've been in here, and it's just, ticking up. It's just slowly adding. And of course, I have it set so that everything I earn on my, small little balances, I'm just testing this out, but I'm probably going to put a decent amount, as I ladder out into this account, because I make, 8.5%, just slow and easy here. And it stacks because I have it set here. I have it where it stacks into my Mamo account because I see this making more. So, I would rather, instead of compounding back into USDC to where I only make 8.5%, I want it to compound into Mamo where I make 21%. Make sense? Hope so. I don't see the test net on the header anymore. Yeah. Like I said, I think Black Hole is fully live now. Mamo is stupid simple. I don't see why it won't be widely used with newbies. Absolutely. Cloud 99, Coinbase should list Mamo. Just saying. I am surprised that if they haven't. I mean, it's going to be on their app. Um, yeah, not sure, but I know that you can get it in the Coinbase app. In the wallet. Um, what else we got? Oh, okay. You guys are just troubleshooting some stuff. All right. So let's actually jump into this. Let's see. All right. So, like I said, they're going to be integrating social media, DeFi, gaming, and more, all on Coinbase's Ethereum Layer 2 network, which is Base, as all of us are familiar with. Whether you're a crypto newbie or a DeFi pro, this app has something for you. We'll break down its features, integrations, and why it's being called the future of Web3. Stick around, drop your questions in the chat, and let's get started. The overview. All right. The Base app replaces the Coinbase Wallet. So if you currently have the Coinbase Wallet, it should, once it's fully released, it will update into the Base app. And so it's going to make blockchain as easy as using TikTok or Venmo. Built on the Base chain, Coinbase's Layer 2, it offers low cost. Anybody that's done DeFi with Base knows it's like a fraction of a cent most of the time to do a transaction. It offers low cost and high speed transactions. Recently, there was an upgrade to the Base chain and made it crazy fast. I don't know if any of you noticed, but transactions go through a lot quicker. Currently in beta for waitlisted users, with a full rollout coming soon. Think of it as a one-stop shop for socials, messaging, payments, trading, DeFi, and gaming. Let's dive into the details. All right. So the features and integrations. Socials. The Base app brings decentralized social networking to your fingertips, powered by Farcaster. It's like Twitter meets NFTs with a TikTok twist. So Farcaster integration, it's a decentralized social network for posting, following, and engaging. Posts can be tokenized as NFTs via Zora for monetization. TikTok style video mode. Create and share short form videos right in the app. Perfect for creators looking to go viral on chain. There'll be a creator studio. Built-in tools for crafting text, images, and videos, and you can monetize content through tips, sales, or weekly engagement rewards. So again, if somebody likes something that you posted, they can tip you. It might be 17 cents, 10 cents, whatever, but that adds up. It's like super chats and all that stuff on YouTube. Basically it will just be a way that you can use, the wallet aspect of the Base app to where you can support your, favorite influencer, if they're putting out good information. And if they're not, you don't tip them. All right. Messaging. Say goodbye to centralized apps like WhatsApp. The Base app offers secure. I'm going to wait. Jury's out on that one. I mean, we've all seen where, these apps will say that they're secure and, come to find out that they're not as secure as they claim. The Base app offers secure Web3 native messaging, an XMTP protocol, encrypted decentralized messaging for private chats, interoperable with other Web3 platforms. So that'll actually be cool if it's if it's able almost cross-chain. So if there's other Web3 messaging apps, maybe it's going to be able to cross-populate. Seamless experience. Chat while sending payments or sharing posts all in one app. So say I'm chatting with you and you're like, hey man, I'm at a restaurant, forgot my wallet, can you borrow me $20? And they can, message you that, message you $20 in USDC or, whatever crypto. And, with whatchamacallit, I just talked about Shopify. With Shopify or Square or whatever, payment system, you can, pay for your meal. So it'll be cool to be able to just, via text, send people money or receive money. Why it matters. Privacy first messaging that integrates with your crypto wallet. Uh, I- I'd be actually curious to know in the chat, would you use a decentralized messaging app? I mean, what's your thoughts on, uh, chatting on a app run by Coinbase? They've had some issues with people in the past as far as their assets on their, in their account. I was actually just reading this morning somebody on X where they were saying that that Coinbase took $100,000 out of their account, and to talk, I've heard things like this about Coinbase. So, would you trust Coinbase with, a private chat? If Ellie was sending pics to Jay on the private app, is are they going to trust that those are going to stay between them? Payments. Payments on the Base app are fast, cheap, and powered by USDC. It's like Venmo for crypto. So Base Pay is what it's going to be called. Instant payments for goods, services, or tips using USDC. Integrated with Shopify for merchants to accept crypto. Cross-chain smart wallet. Auto created for eligible users, works across multiple blockchains, simplifies sending and receiving assets. Low fees. Base chain's layer 2 tech keeps transaction costs near zero. So, I mean, controversial question for you. Is there going to be a need for, things like cross-border remittances, cross-border payments like XLM and, XRP and things like that? With, for retail, seeing as you're going to have the Base app and you can, message anyone in the world at any time these days. I can send money, to my cousin that's, he may be in Europe or he might be in the Caribbean. I can send him money and, I can get money from him, anywhere in the world. So why would I need to use a bank? Why would I need to go and do a cross-border payment when I can just send it on my phone? So these are all questions that we need to ask, as this technology evolves. Our thinking and our investments need to evolve with it. So, all of these things are things to take into consideration. Um, why it matters. Crypto payments as easy as using a debit card. And again, same thing with this app. If I can, pull up the QR code and, it says that my bill is, 34 bucks and they can just scan my, the QR code, or I can tap or, do whatever. It's just as easy as using a debit card. I mean, this could be a bank account. You could use this as your bank account. Again, I barely use my bank account now. Really it's just for, the auto pay that I have set up. Once this evolves to a point to where, and maybe Moonwell will be doing that because they're trying to be a bank. Once I can make my uh utility payments, and once I, if you have a car payment or mortgage, once you can do that from a Web3 wallet, will you need a bank? Once you can direct deposit, ACH, once you can do that to your Coinbase account or, your Moonwell account, are you going to use your bank anymore? How are they going to incentivize people to use them as opposed to, just a, web-based platform? Why would you? As employers start to pay via stable coins, they can pay you hourly. If you're an hourly, employee, a smart contract could just pay you every hour. When you're clocked in, it just pays you every hour. Click, click, click. It goes into your account. You don't get paid weekly or monthly. It just shows up in your account, whenever you're, at work, actively working. It's Our society is going to evolve. And that's going to help you because if you have that, available, that liquidity available, you can make sure that, it will be easier. You won't be having to go paycheck to paycheck as much. You're going to have to be more responsible though, because, if you're spending, faster than you're taking in, just like, monthly, it's not going to be as obvious. I mean, you might have a payment that's due that's 200 and something bucks, and you only have $100 in there because you're used to spending a certain way. you the way that you spend and budget your money is going to need to evolve. All right. So trading crypto has never been smoother with base apps, in-app swaps, and future derivatives potential. In-app swaps trade tokens directly with improved execution and low fees. Leverages base chain's high throughput for fast trades. Again, base chain just did an upgrade. It's much faster than it was. Derivative suites enhanced by OPYN's leadership team, hinting at options trading soon. Potential for advanced trading tools and future updates. Aerodrome integration. Again, they're integrating DeFi, Mamo, Morpho, Moonwell, Aerodrome. All of these are going to be integrated into the base app. Directly on the base app, everyone's going to be able to, talk. You're going to be able to talk directly to Mamo. You're not going to have to use Telegram anymore. You can basically just chat with Mamo in there. And again, I think it's going to evolve into where there's going to be an AI in the app that you can just talk to. And, basically it will be like having your own personal, broker, DeFi broker or trading broker. How that's going to evolve, the way the markets move. Time will only tell. DeFi integrations, my favorite, Mamo, auto compounding DeFi platform for tracking and growing assets. As you can see on the screen, I'm testing it out now. Right now, it's just USDC, Bitcoin, and Mamo, but they have hinted at adding XRP, Sol, and a bunch of others. God only knows what they're going to end up with, on this thing. I mean, this thing just barely launched. So, it's, always evolving. Revenue sharing accounts let users earn weekly protocol profits. So, my Mamo in here, I'm earning a portion of the protocol profits, just like I would with Aerodrome or Black Token, any of those, Morpho, any of those, whenever you stake them, whenever you lock them, it's, you're contributing to the stability of the token, and you're voting and, taking part in the governance. So for that, they incentivize you by paying you out, a portion of the earnings. And with Aerodrome, it's substantial. And I know Black is adopting a similar model. So I'm kind of excited about that one. Mamo, like I said, accessible via in-app messaging for easy setup. Why it's cool. It simplifies yield farming for beginners. Again, this is going to be a great onboarding tool for people into DeFi. People that don't know about DeFi, they don't know about impermanent loss. They don't want to deal with going to Aerodrome and figure, I want to get in this USDC Aero pool. I need this much USDC. I need this much Aero, and I got to, approve all these transactions. And what am I approving? And, it's intimidating for a lot of people. And so this is, Mamo is an amazing tool to onboard people into DeFi. And again, I think it's only going to grow. And that's why I started diving, DCAing hard into Mamo. Is it's sitting currently at, let's actually look real quick, at 3,311 by market cap. This thing has a ton of upside. I mean, just an insane amount of upside. It started out at 1 cent and now it's at 13 cents. So it's already done a 13x for the most part, just more like a 10x. But let's see. But, we did the market cap of, and I mean, this I think easily could do a 20-30x. And that's just my humble opinion. Yeah, I'm not a chart guy, but just with what this is offering, the DeFi aspect, the integration with the base app, the AI that eases the onboarding of people that aren't crypto and DeFi savvy. I see it being a huge tool that is going to onboard all of these people. Else we got Aerodrome Finance, Base's lending decks or leading decks. Sorry, my freaking eyes are adjusting. Looks like I had lost you for a minute. Let's wait for this to ramp up. All right. So hopefully I didn't lose you for too long. Aerodrome Finance, Base's leading decks with 1.2 billion of TVL as of June, supports volatile and stable pools, 30 to 80% APR via Aero emissions. Users can swap, provide liquidity, lock tokens, and vote on emissions. Why it's cool. Deep liquidity ensures great swap prices. I don't use Coinbase to swap. I don't even use the Coinbase app to swap anymore. I go directly to Aerodrome. With the amount of liquidity and the amount of pools there, it's the cheapest place that I've found to to swap assets. I mean, if any of you out there know of a better place to a cheaper place to swap, by all means, drop it in the chat. I would love to hear. All right, let's see. Odd. After disconnecting, I can no longer find the Coinbase or Base Wallet option. I'll have to. Hey, Black Ice, look where it says other wallets. When you're trying to connect, there should be a spot you can click on other wallets, and then there's usually like a search. If you don't see the Coinbase app, you can in the search you can start typing out Coinbase, and it will pop up. What's up, Ryan? First mover Otter Home on ARB up 640% overnight. Yeah, might have to take a look at that. Neither pull up. Go into your settings and see if you turned off the app. Thoughts on Beefy versus Mammo? That's Jay. That's a good question. Since we're talking about DeFi, I'll pause and answer that. So those that don't know, Beefy it's not an AI necessarily, but it's automated. So you just put liquidity in there, it auto compounds, it does everything automatically. It auto rebalances, but the APRs are wildly volatile. Sometimes I'll be making 1,000%. Sometimes I'm making like 8%. It doesn't seem like it optimizes because it's not moving you around to different pools. You're staying in the same pools on Beefy. Whereas Morpho, you're depositing liquidity and it's moving around your assets, from Moonwell and Morpho and Aerodrome into different pools and vaults that are ensuring a steady APR or a steadier APR. So I think for the new investor, it's probably better that they use Morpho. As they mature as a DeFi investor, Beefy would be a good way for them to lever up into ranged positions. But if they don't have the time to monitor those positions, for rebalancing and things like that, um, it might be a natural progression. So, maybe start out with Mamo. If you are wanting to get into range positions, Beefy would be a good second step. And then, of course, after that, manually using, Uniswap and Aerodrome and, other platforms like that, then you can, start doing concentrated liquidity pools. So I hope that answers your question. That's interesting. Yeah, maybe jump on the DeFi roundtable that I'm doing in the DIG here in about an hour and a half, and I can have one of you come up on stage, and you can share your screen, show me what's going on, and I might be able to help you out. But Moonwell, the leading protocol with 88 million in TVL, or lending protocol, sorry, offering 7 to 8% APY on USDC. That's where Morpho is putting your USDC, because that is the steady APR that I'm earning on the little bit of USDC that I have in there. What I like about Mamo and Moonwell and a lot of these other ones is that they don't custody your assets. So I deposited on Mamo. If Mamo, the platform, goes down, I can access those assets over on Moonwell. I can go over to Moonwell and see my assets right now that I have on Mamo. So Mamo, I'm just giving permission to manage my assets, not custody my assets. And that's an important distinction. Moonwell supports wrapped ETH, USDC, Arrow markets with no lockup periods. That's important. I want my assets to be liquid. I don't want to wait 21 days, like a lot of staking, to where, you have to initiate that and then wait 21 days before it's liquid, to where you can sell or swap or do whatever you want with the assets. For the most part, I'm done with that type of staking. I don't want lockup periods. Integrated for lending, borrowing directly in the app. Why it's cool. User-friendly lending with competitive yields. Again, Moonwell, super easy to use. And Mamo makes it even easier. Morpho, permissionless lending with 6 billion of TVL. Morpho has a massive amount of TVL. Reason being, it is already part of Coinbase's offerings for BTC backed loans. Those of you that don't know, Morpho, if you look at Morpho, the difference between the price and the TVL and and what it has going on, there is a huge difference. Drew's always pointing this out over on Blockchain Basement. There is a huge discrepancy between the two. There is huge upside on Morpho, in my opinion, right now, just because the price has not moved with the TVL. I mean, 6 billion of TVL, that's insane for a token with as low of a market cap as Morpho has. All right. So why it matters. These integrations make DeFi accessible without leaving the app, blending high yields with ease of use. So again, this is removing the barriers to entry for normal people that don't know about crypto, don't know how to use wallets, don't know how to use these platforms. This is going to remove all those barriers to entry. And with an AI, it makes it to where they don't need to know shit. Basically, just once they can get their liquidity onto the app, they can just go to Mamo and say, I'm going to put it, in, some of it in Mamo, put some of it in Bitcoin for long-term, hold, my long-term savings account. And I'm going to put some in USDC so that I can, use it as a bank account, earning 8%. So it's outpacing inflation, because usually inflation is around 7%. I believe it fluctuates. But at least it's outpacing inflation. And so you can use it as a savings account. And then because of the base app in their payments, you can use that USDC, anytime that you go out, anytime you're shopping. So I'm leaning more and more towards using DeFi and DeFi apps as my savings and my checking account. Again, I'm just waiting to where I can make my my monthly payments for utilities and things like that. Automated payments. As soon as I can do that, game over. I'm not using traditional banks for fucking anything. They don't do shit for us. I mean, you're making a fraction of a percent on them lending out your money. With DeFi, I make the money. Traditionally, you put your money in a bank account and the bank makes money and doesn't give you shit. Charges you a bunch of fees for everything on top of it. So yeah, screw them. Gaming. The base app isn't just finance, it's fun too with gaming built in. Remix GG integration. Play and create games directly in the app. So I guess you're going to be able to create games and maybe there's a way to earn. Uh, Mini apps enable quick gaming experiences, developer friendly. Sign in with Base lets devs add their games to the ecosystem. Why it matters. Turns the app into an entertainment hub, appealing to non crypto users. Audience poll. Would you try gaming in the Base app? These are my notes. Um, I don't know if I would. I mean, I might mess around with it, but I probably wouldn't use it. Performance. The Base app runs on the Base chain's cutting edge tech, making it fast and affordable. Flash blocks. That's the upgrade they just did. Um, it made it to where 200 millisecond block times. So in a fraction of a second, blocks are closing out. It's 10 times faster than the standard layer twos. Ideal for real-time trading, payments, and gaming. It's going to have to be fast. If all this is happening on Base's main chain, then it's going to have to be fast. If there's trading going on and DeFi going on and gaming going on, and all this stuff, it's going to have to be insanely fast. A sleek user experience or UX, described as sleek and intuitive with hospitality-like feel. Available on both Apple and Android, Mac operating system, and Vision OS. High performance makes Web3 feel like Web 2. Users users on X call it an Airbnb level ingenuity for crypto. We'll wait and see. So other integrations. They integrated Zora for NFT monetization, Perplexity AI for real-time crypto data. So it's going to be a great place for research, it sounds like, with Perplexity, and Base Build for developer tools. So, if you're savvy like that, you might be able to build out applications that people can buy and use, kind of like on the Apple Store or the Google, Google Shop. Um, you can build out apps, and maybe people have to buy them for $5. Maybe you're building out a portfolio tracker for DeFi, and you can build it out. They can download it, and maybe it costs them $5 or something like that. I don't know. It's just it'd be interesting to see, and if it's already on chain and there's cross chain interoperability, with Chainlink or some other Oracle, it might be super easy. Because I know that that's the issue right now that we're having with our app. We have two developers working on it right now, trying to build out a DeFi portfolio tracker that can look at Base, all the EVM compatible stuff, and look at Solana, and look at all the different chains for DeFi. Because most of them out there that I've found, they only show you some of your DeFi positions. They don't show all of them. It's like, I want a fucking DeFi portfolio tracker that shows me all my open positions. And I want analytics of this is, how much of each asset that I deposited into this liquidity pool. This is, the current amount of those assets that I have in that position. This is my P&L or my profit and loss. This is, my current APR. This is historically, I want a graph that shows this is how my APR has changed since, I entered to now. It's like, I want to have all that analytics because that's going to let me know how my positions are performing. Right now I'm using that free spreadsheet that we offer in the Discord. It's great. Don't get me wrong, but it is fucking time consuming and it doesn't give me the analytics I want. I mean, it gives me some. I know, how much, I deposited, liquidity wise, value wise, and I know how much it's currently worth, but it's not telling me overall how it's performing, on different KPIs, key performance indicators. I want to understand those positions better. So, I mean, that's what we're working on, and hopefully we can make that work. And with a lot of these new advances and in crypto and a lot of these new projects, I think it's going to become more and more possible. And we're not the only one. There's some other people that have already launched portfolio trackers, but again, they don't show everything. I've tried them all out, and they don't show everything. And I'm not super interested in being able to enter and exit positions and be like a VFAT right off the bat. I just want to focus on having a really sexy DeFi portfolio tracker, and maybe we'll add some of that functionality later. But we're in the crawl phase. But I'll let you guys know. Let you all know. Kind of as that evolves. But okay, let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. Go ahead and start dropping your questions in the chat. I'm going to start scrolling through here and see if I missed anything. Let's see if anybody has any questions. Doesn't look like we have any questions. Well, if you do have any questions, if you're out there watching and you have any questions on DeFi or crypto or anything like that, here in about an hour, about an hour and 20 minutes, we're going to be going live in the Discover Investment Group Discord. I'll drop that in the chat. That's this here. Let me find it. Here we go. I'll drop this in the chat if you're interested. NSFW. I don't know what that is. I'm old. Yeah. I don't know what that is, Ellie. I'm old. So this is the link to the Discord. Go ahead and go in there and sign up. It's free. We there is a paid section if you want to, up your game. For the most part, everything I do is free. The paid section is for the advanced trading courses that Kelly, Drew, and DZ, and all those over at Discover Crypto and Blockchain Basement, BitLab Academy. They all offer kind of more advanced stuff in there. Josh, they all do really well as far as their trading. But if you're not following us, make sure on YouTube, if you want to join the chat and take part in the conversation, DeFi crypto airdrop, all one word. Here got our brother channels, Discover Crypto, my boy Jeff, my co-host on Mondays and Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. He is my airdrop guru. He is the one that turned me on to Plume. He gets in super early on a lot of these projects and able to, give us the deep alpha on them a lot of times before the tokens even launched or the mainnet goes live. He's able to give us, a lot of really good information on them. And I invest super early. Got in on KTA early, got in on Plume early, got in on Mamo early, got in on Arrow early. We got in on a lot of stuff very early. Because of being a part of this family of channels. Drew, all of the crew over there, and then of course Jeff. Blockchain Basement with Drew and Isaac. Isaac's shipping off to boot camp soon, so I think Drew's going to be flying solo. And then Kelly at BitLab Academy. So that's the family of channels there. If you are interested in DeFi and don't know where to start, I built out a DeFi Academy for you. Just start with episode 1 and just go on. It progressively builds, on the knowledge earned on the previous episode. So, basically the first one is DeFi explained. Be the bank, keep the profits. Super simple. I break everything down to I was a military instructor, so I always talk to the dumbest son of a bitch in the room. I don't teach for the smartest person in the room like a lot of people do out there. A lot of DeFi channels, they're teaching high level stuff. They're talking to, the people with a lot of money that are making, a lot of money in DeFi, and they understand what impermanent loss is and divergence loss and, all these terms that are very specific to DeFi. I like to speak to people that don't know what the hell they're doing. They're wanting to get involved in this, but they don't know how. I was one of those about 8-9 months ago, and I was frustrated. So as I learned, I started this channel and started putting this information out so that others like you all out there would have a place that you could learn, get onboarded to DeFi, take away some of these barriers to entry. People that don't have $1 million or more and that, haven't been doing DeFi for, a year or two. It's should be for everybody. So anyway, got all those in there. I even added closed captions, if for Spanish, what is it? Spanish, Korean, Thai, Vietnamese, Russian. I added a bunch of different closed caption languages. So if you don't speak English or, don't speak very good English, I even put Portuguese in there, so there's no reason why you can't learn. Follow me on X, veteran, the number 4 crypto. I, share a lot of really good info as far as, DeFi projects, new things that are happening in the DeFi sphere. As I mentioned, the Discord. We'll hit DeFi Llama real quick on the way out. But, as you can see, freaking TVL. Let's move that up. TVL and volumes in DeFi are starting to curve up. Haven't gone parabolic. I mean, we're just getting warmed up, but things are starting to pick up. Let's see. RWA.xyz. As always, looks like we had a little bit of a pullback. First time in a minute, but a little bit of a pullback on TVL, on RWAs, real world asset tokenization. But one thing I did want to point out, let's see. What was it that I was wanting to show you all? So on RWA count, you got base is moving up the ranks. They now have 117 RWAs on it. Plume has 88. Plume is definitely growing faster than most. So you got almost 60% growth, while everything else is, up or, just a small amount down. Plume is just blowing up. And then if you look at total value, you can see you got ZK Sync, Solana, Aptos, as far as TVL, and, Plume's still in the top 10. 30 days, Plume is number 1 in growth. Can't talk enough about Plume. Then asset classes. The largest growth is in public equity. All right. So U.S. Treasuries is actually down. That's odd because that's the largest. Okay, that must be the down tick. Because, U.S. Treasuries right there. A little down tick. All right. So, if you're interested in tokenized assets, I would go over to the Plume portal and look at Nest. That is a protocol that's built out on Plume mainnet. And you can like all of these, this in alpha, you know, I don't have it pulled up. In alpha, that is a basket of tokenized assets. You got in T bills that are like U.S. Treasury bills that you can invest in. And I actually shared a bit of alpha. You know what? I'll go there real quick. We got a few minutes. Got about another 10 minutes. All right. So this is the Plume portal. Once you log into the Plume portal, you can go to Explore, and you can see that there's a Nest. So this is something that I found interesting. Is you can come here and you can see, you got this Nest Alpha Vault. You can earn 10%, Nest Basis, Delta Neutral Yield, institutional grade yield from Treasuries, U.S. Treasuries or U.S. Treasury debt. You're only earning 4%. But check this out. So you can earn 4% here. But now you come back to here and you can go to you can go here to Mystic. And so I shared this in the Discord. This is why you really need to get in the Discord. There's a whole community of people there that are sharing, really cool, earning pools and things like that. But this one, so basically you can use your right here. You can use this NT bill. So you can deposit your stable coin, PUSD, and that's Plume's stable coin that's backed by USDC. So it's US compliant, all of that, all the legalities are all taken care of. It's not, a fly by night stable coin. It's not, like, oh, we promise we have reserves, all that stuff. It's fully backed 1-to-1 by USDC. But this is a stable yield because it is the U.S. Treasury debt. It's for a steady 4%. You're earning 4% here. Now over here on Mystic as collateral, so you're still earning 4% on it. You now you can take out a loan in PUSD, and you're only paying. It actually went down 0.08%. You're paying 0.08% to borrow stable coins. So if you're earning, like 3.8% and it's costing you 0.08%, then you're still making money on the T-bills. And it washes out the interest that you're paying on the loan. Now, the loan to value, you can do up to 91%. I wouldn't. It's a stable coin. It's not going to fluctuate much. So you don't have to worry too much about, getting liquidated. But me personally, I do like maybe a 50%, 50, 60%, super safe. Don't need to worry about it. T-bills is the collateral. So, again, it's the value shouldn't fluctuate too much. And if it does, you got bigger issues. That means that, the U.S. has, has defaulted on their debt or something. But again, I would just do like 50%, 40%, something like that. But you can take that PUSD, that stable coin, and you can use that to invest in other things. So basically, you're getting paid to borrow money. You're depositing an asset that is earning money. You're borrowing a stable asset for next to nothing. And then you can use that to open, just super safe, like full range liquidity pools, or you can lend it out. I know where you can use PUSD and earn 15% right now on the Plume portal. You can lend out PUSD and make 15% and just hold on to PUSD. And if for whatever reason you need to pay this back, that PUSD is still sitting there. You can pull that out at any time, where you're earning the 15%. If for whatever reason you're about to, the T-bills dump and you're about to get liquidated, you just yank that PUSD out, pay it, pay off the loan. You still have, like, if you take a $50,000 loan out and you put that 50,000 and you're earning 15%, that 50,000 is still there. You just pull that 50,000 out, pay off the debt. You now have your T-bills unlocked, and all that time you were earning 15% on that free money. This is DeFi. And I don't know how long stuff like this is going to last. You need to learn DeFi and understand how to find these types of things. What do they call that? Arbitrage. These arbitrage opportunities where, you're almost gaming the system to where you're making money. And, you're not scamming anybody. I mean, but I mean, you're definitely, operating at a different level than your peers. So I'll end with that. Just definitely, make sure that you follow us on YouTube, join the Discord, start learning this stuff, because I don't know how long. I mean, you're always going to be able to earn yield, but I don't know how long you're going to be able to earn yield like this. The more people that get involved, the more the markets are going to stabilize. Crypto market is going to stabilize. DeFi market's going to stabilize. And it's going to become more and more like the traditional markets, I think. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we can all earn like this forever. But I think a lot of the earning we're doing right now is the onboarding of new people. I think once that onboarding of new liquidity and new people balances out, I don't think that we're gonna, we're gonna see this yield anymore. It's like the traditional stock market. Making 10% in a year is considered awesome. And it's because, pretty much everybody that's going to get in the stock market's already in the stock market. All the institutions, all the banks, all the governments, all the retail. There's not a huge influx of people, that are coming in to the stock market. We are at the beginning. We are early adopters. Early adopters, we deal with the volatility, but with that volatility, comes huge profits and huge losses. It's all about how you mitigate those losses. Again, last thing, before you invest in DeFi, watch episode 8 on our channel. I can't stress this enough. I keep getting questions in the Discord, simple questions that I answer in this DeFi Academy. But episode 8, building your portfolio, and 100%, I'm going to end on this. I know I keep going, but I can't stress this enough. Building the foundation of your DeFi portfolio is the most important thing that you'll do, because it is going to keep you from losing your money. Lending, staking, those two things are the core, because you can earn good yield on both of those without putting your assets at any, you have negligible risk, and some places minimal, if any. But you're earning yield, and it's slow, steady yield. Single digits, sometimes double digits, sometimes 15, 20%. And then full range liquidity pools, to where no matter what the price does, you're earning. The one that's worked best for me, USDC and Arrow on Aerodrome. It's about, high 30s to low 50%. It fluctuates, but just steady earning. You expose yourself to, some impermanent loss because of the price of Arrow moving up and down. But I would suggest full range pairs that have a stable, like USDC, USDT, PUSD, and then a volatile asset like, Arrow, Morpho, Bitcoin, ETH, something like that. And always, always, always make sure you're investing. If you're investing in any pool or vault or anything like that, make sure, I don't care what yield it's giving you, I don't care how much fees you're earning, make sure that it's made of assets that you believe in. That if the market crashed and we went into a 4-year bear market, that you would be comfortable hodling those assets. Because especially when you start getting into range pools, very easily prices can tank and you can be not locked in, but you can be all in on that volatile asset. Right now, I personally have, I'm a KTA. I'm basically hodling KTA, waiting for the price to come back up into range so that I can start earning yield again. And when it goes out the top of the range, so I can exit my positions and get full price appreciation for this alt season. But with that, let's see if we got any questions before I go. Is Mamo the channel's number one currently? I don't know if I would call it my number one. I definitely think out of all of the assets, it has, if not the most, one of the most, I'm the most optimistic for the upside, just because it's at like 3,300 and something for market cap. And, most people don't even know about it, but it's about to go live on the base app that we just got done talking about. It's using Moonwell and Morpho and Arrow and, all of that. I just think that once it gets out there and starts getting used and more TVL, starts getting dumped into it, price is going to follow. And just my humble opinion. But I would definitely make sure you have a bag of it. I would, even dare say, put it on the platform so you're earning free Mamo, 20% APR, free Mamo, 24/7, 365. Ellie looking to get a leg up on the new social end on base. You guys are terrible. I'll try to be on that Discord call. I've got some errands to run. All right, Jay. If you can't make it, Jay, reach out to me on Discord. I'm happy to jump on a one-on-one call with you to help you out, brother. Banks do the same thing, lending our deposits. Absolutely. They lend out our assets and make, 8, 9, 10% and, lend them out multiple times at fractional banking. It's bullshit. It's my money. I should be able to earn on it. Mamo is probably the top crypto I'd buy right now. That's kind of where I'm at. I've built my bags of Plume. I've built my bags of KTA. I have my bags of Arrow. Most of my bullish stuff I have very nice bags of. So Mamo is the one I'm building right now. Hippie holder, that's the beauty, man. This is recorded. You can go back and watch the whole thing, but I appreciate you making it, brother. Once the base app launches, I'm sure it'll skyrocket. Yep, just covered that. And hippie holder, I'll rewatch. All right, that's our hour. I appreciate you all for showing up. As always, like and share the stream. Share it out on socials. We're just trying to grow this thing. As always, I don't charge for anything. Me and Jeff do all this for free. We don't monetize. We don't do subscriptions. We don't do super chats. We don't charge, for, any sort of, master class or, we don't have a members only Discord. We don't do any of that shit. Everything here, I want you to know, we don't get paid when we do deep dives. I don't get paid to do, any of these deep dives. We don't accept crypto from these projects. We don't accept money. We don't have sponsors. I want you all out there to know that everything I'm saying here is genuine. Everything that I say here is 100% what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling about a project. And that's why I share my portfolio. That's why I show you my tracking sheet of how much I'm making or how much I'm losing and how much I hold and what I hold and what I'm doing. Is I want you to know that I'm not one of the influencers that are just, changing my mind off of whatever, the popular thing is. XRP. I'm going to tell you what I think about XRP. I don't care if you watch the show or not. If it offends you, that's on you. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion on it. It's, are you going to make money? Yes. Are you going to, is it going to go to $10,000? Odds are no. And, it's not going to go to $100. It's not going to go to $1,000, in my opinion. It's, its utility has changed. The fundamentals of XRP have changed. It used to be the only thing on the XRP ledger. You now have USDC. You now have RLUSD that can move value on the XRPL. XRP is a gas token. ODL, on demand liquidity. Can you use XRP? Absolutely. Do you have to? No. You can use RLUSD. You can use USDC. And if I was a bank or institution moving $1 billion of liquidity, am I going to use XRP that in the second or two it takes for that transaction to go through, the XRP token could drop, even 0.5%? A 0.5% on $1 billion doesn't sound like a lot, but it's $5 million. Do the math. 5 million. Are you willing to lose $5 million sending $1 billion, cross border on ODL if you could lose $5 million in the transaction? No. Banks are going to use stables. There is no need for a high value XRP. It is a gas token now. And anybody that tells you different, I challenge anybody to come on the show. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But I held all the ISO tokens from the beginning of the last bear market all the way up until this latest pump at the end of 2024, where I sold them all. I had XRP, XLM, Quant, Algo, HBAR. I had all of them. That was my whole portfolio. And they pumped 2-3x. I sold them all. And yeah, I could have kept riding them, but I got into DeFi. I've made more money in DeFi than I would have holding those, hodling those. And I see maybe a 2x, 3x in some of those tokens from here, just because they've already pumped so much. But, Mamo, Arrow, Morpho, Well, Plume, all of these, I see 10x's in personally. So, like I said, I like to say it how it is. I am not here to be popular. I'm not, I want, to the channel subscribers to go up, but everything I say here is 100% fact. I'm not going to cater to you to get you to, to watch the channel. I'm just going to tell you how it is. But by all means, please jump in the chat and tell me how I'm wrong. All right. So let's see. I think DZ got reprimanded for shilling ADA too much. Yeah, and I'm kind of guilty of that. Just because I'm bullish on Plume, and a lot of these projects. I just know a lot of people don't know about them. ADA's been around a while, but there's so much going on with Plume. With how much it's growing. Since it's such a new project, I feel like I need to keep people up to speed. By no means am I saying ape into it. I just want people to know what's going on with it. I saw that DZ is ridiculous with this Cardano. Yeah, no, he's definitely a Cardano maxi. I tried to get in Discord, but it's locked. You shouldn't. And that's a free section. Yeah. And Jay, I didn't have a crystal ball. I just knew that again, that, especially with XRP, that everything had changed. When, still bullish on Ripple, still bullish on what they are trying to do. I just, when they announced that they came out with RLUSD, I saw the writing on the wall. I saw that banks and institutions, they sat down with them and they voiced their concern about moving liquidity with a volatile asset. And that is why Ripple came out with RLUSD. And they're not going to be loud about it and let people know, because they want, all these people out shilling XRP. They want them to pump it, because monthly they have unlocks, like millions and millions and millions of XRP get unlocked, and they dump on the market. Most of the time they relock the majority of it, but that's how they are making the majority of their money, and keeping their business afloat until ODL and XRPL and all these partnerships they have go fully live, to where they're making revenue off that. So again, I held XRP. I watched Coach JV, and Good Morning Crypto, and Crypto Sensei, and who else? Black Swan. Yeah, just all the XRP maxis out there. The Australian guy, OZ Bull, all really great people. I'm not saying anything about them, but I learned everything there is about XRP. So I'm not saying this from a place of ignorance. I really just want people to make money out there and be safe, and not go all in on XRP thinking that it's going to 10 grand. So with that, I appreciate you all. Have a great day. Until next time, Veteran Crypto out.